I'd like to call to order the Clarkston Independence District Library Board of Trustees meeting for October 14th, 2024 at 6:20, what? 6:32, how's that? 6:32. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jan Gaffney. Here. Tim Holcomb.
Here.
Allison McFadden Kiesling absent. Nancy Moon.
Here.
Alan Panter.
Here.
Marilyn Pomeroy.
Here.
Maggie Sands.
Here.
Julie Meredith here.
Okay. I'll accept a motion for approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as presented. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is passed. Call to the public. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak tonight? If not, we will close the call to the public. Now, we have a long consent agenda. I'll accept a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, there are 12 items. No one has a question about any. If that's the case, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Agenda is passed. Friends of the Library report.
Good evening. We had our fall book sale, and it went very well. We earned almost $1,000 more than we did last year.
Wow.
The only issue we are having is with our volunteers. We're just not getting people like we used to. And we did have some fill-in with the NHS kids from the Clarkston Library, but we did some kind of talking at the board meeting about how we can get more volunteers. But I recently spoke with a Rotary, a Knights of Columbus, and a Boy Scout leader, and they were mentioning the same thing. All organizations are having trouble getting volunteers. And someone suggested phone calls. Well, you know, I think that maybe 10 years ago would be a good thing, but I don't answer a phone if I don't know who that call's coming from.
And the older you are, the more likely that is.
Yes, true. So we've got some work to do. We do have our book sale coming up in January. We're going to be using the shortened 1 day less on that and see how that goes. But we made $8,350.
Well, that's good.
Excellent.
So that's a significant amount.
I wonder if you could collect names of volunteers at the next book sale.
Pardon me?
If you could collect names of volunteers at the next book sale, customers might be willing to help.
Well, you know what we do when you sign up for becoming a friend of the library. It has a box you can check if you're interested in volunteering. And so Marion always follows up with those people, generally with an email, because you provide your email and your phone number. I'm not really sure because next year I'm president, so I'm going to have to figure something out.
Now, you also have a Friends meeting this week, right?
We had one last week.
We have
We have the general.
the general meeting.
The general meeting, correct. We have that on Wednesday of this week.
Okay, excellent. How to spend those dollars you've collected for the library, right?
Yes. You know what, a lot of people are, when we say we're the fundraising arm of the library, a lot of people don't even know that. I'm so surprised because it says it in our mission statement. So.
Can I suggest text messaging people who give you their phone number?
I'm not opposed to that. I would prefer that than the calling.
Yeah.
Some people don't check their email regularly. I know I get very behind on mine. So that, the
So
texting
maybe
is.
the text messaging might be, well, I know half of my friends check their emails and half of them check their texts, and they never seem to kind of cross.
Well, then maybe do both, and then,
That's a possibility we can do. I know Julie Meyer, who is our marketing director, she's really, really, really good with anything that has to do with the social aspect. She's very good, and I always thought it was Sissy sending these constant comments, but it's not, it's Julie.
yeah. I know I worked with Julie on the social media when we did the library millage, so she's very, very, she's very good, yeah.
She got us 532 new people that looked at, between Facebook and Instagram, looked at the
Library
our
posts.
ads. So 532 is a significant amount.
That is.
Excellent. Okay. All right, thank you. Library statistics.
So you have the statistical report in front of you. We have discovered that there is an issue with the way the circulations, that's what the big dip is in circulation. There isn't actually a big dip in circulation. There was an issue with the way they collected it and reported it this time. So it is, Bill says it's under investigation, but he knows what's wrong with it. He's going to correct it next time. So he apologizes for that. But everything else, you can see we're doing a lot of growth in the various areas still, except for circulation. So, but that was a glitch in the system.
Why is study room usage up so much? That's a huge difference.
It definitely, this is the time of year. We get a lot of students that are coming in and using that nice quiet space. Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
I like the new format.
On the second page, CNT programs and then CNT program participants.
Children and teen,
Yeah,
We have 8 people in 2024.
yeah. That doesn't look right.
well, he said that there were some issues with this report, so that may be one of the things he has under
Yeah.
investigation.
Yeah.
Because
So-
eight just looks, yeah.
How to
Yeah.
reflect the data?
I think there was another one with the
That's
wireless.
that's
He
not
said there
even
were a
one
couple of
program.
things that were, yeah, that he pulled together that he's still working on. So we will get you a corrected report next month. So.
Okay. Library director report.
At the September meeting, the library board received an update regarding Windstream, the company that supplied the library's 3 analog phone lines. At that time, we had received notification from our Windstream customer service representative that they plan to credit all 3 lines to a bill at the end of 7/4/2024 and issue a credit for the TDM rate increase portion that started billing in May. On October 10th, we received notification that Windstream will be crediting $13,144.54, and we are awaiting the final invoice that incorporates this credit. We got this very strange email yesterday that says, you owe $562 and $316 of that is late, and so I'm hoping the next bill clarifies all of this strangeness, but we'll see how much we actually owe. $13,000 to be credited, and who knows what we actually owe at this point. So it'll be interesting. The Library of Michigan provides a wealth of resources for libraries and directors, staff, and trustees. At a recent meeting, the Library of Michigan staff shared information about virtual roundtable meetings, which I sent to you via email, and free webinars for trustees and library staff. And I provided you with a handout of those resources with your report this evening. And there's a link to that if you'd like to see any of those. The library's IT manager and I attended a virtual meeting to research the ways to expand our current people counter technology to allow for better tracking of foot traffic within the library, and could even be used to track usage of the story walk using an outdoor unit. Having more robust data regarding the usage patterns of our patrons would allow us to make better data-driven decisions regarding services, the use of the library space, scheduling staff more efficiently. Our current product is used by a variety of businesses and organizations, but got its start in libraries and includes technology that specifically follows the tracking that's needed within the parameters of the Library Privacy Act. We will continue to further investigation about features and costs of these products, and hopefully we'll be writing that into the upcoming budget. I have been part of the Clarkson Community Schools Strategic Planning Team, representing the lens of the community. A survey was executed in May, data was compiled, and a meeting last week provided the opportunity to review that data. Upcoming meetings will incorporate that input into the building of their strategic plan that will cover 2025 through 2030. So that's still in the works. They're kind of on the same timeline that we are. We have begun the process of evolving our administrative assistant, finance and records position to take on more of an HR role. Nicole Evans is excited to grow her skills, so we have provided her some professional development and an opportunity to network with other library HR staff through the Midwest Collaborative for Library Services. She is currently working with our library's department heads to update and improve our employee new hire checklist to encompass more thorough onboarding and training elements to assure consistent training of all new staff. She has worked very hard to create detailed training documents for all of the administrative office procedures, and using these documents as a template, she will be assisting the other departments to create similar documents for their procedures in the coming months. So, thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good job.
Yay.
The library's 4th annual Trunk or Treat program will take place on Friday, October 18th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. The library will close at 4 p.m. to allow time to set up. The event has grown from 20 trunks and 600 attendees to over 30 trunks and an expected attendance of over 1,000 people. I think Sissy was telling the trunks to prepare for 1,500. Yeah, so we're expecting a big turnout for that, so we're very excited.
All right.
Yesterday, the library hosted a program called Understanding Clarkson's Historic District. Highlights included information from Nancy Moon on the project to update the Clarkson's Historic District survey and an introduction to the library's Historic District website. The main presentation, Michigan's Preservation Program, the benefits for strong local programs doing good work, featured Ron Campbell, Oakland County's Preservation Architect for Economic Development and Community Affairs, and Janet Krieger, founding member and past president of Michigan's Historic Preservation Network. The program was very informative and was well attended by about 40 people. And as we've already heard from Becky, the Friends Fall Book Sale was a huge success. We are grateful to all of our hardworking volunteers that make that event so popular and successful. The Friends Fall membership meeting will take place on Wednesday, October 16th at 7 p.m. Innovations librarian Neil Parr will present on the Clarkston Vault, our library of things that includes non-traditional items for checkout, such as a telescope, sewing machine, tools, and character cake pans. And the Friend of the Year will be recognized, and the staff's wish list of projects will be presented for the Friends for funding.
Excellent.
So if you're available, we would love to have you at that meeting.
Okay. Any questions? If not, let's move to regular business, and we'll start with the request for out-of-state travel.
All right, I'm going to do just a quick overview of what it is that Sissy's going to talk about, and then she's going to tell you more about what she would like to do. So the Library Marketing and Communications Conference, the only event of its type for this library specialty, is designed for library employees of all levels who are involved in marketing, communications, public relations, social media, and outreach. It will take place in St. Louis, Missouri on November 13th and 14th. We are asking to send 2 staff members who will benefit from these sessions. Many of the educational sessions are at the same time, so one person would have to sacrifice certain topics of interest. Sending 2 staff members would all of us collectively attend more sessions and share insights with each other and the benefits of the library. We are asking to send Sissy Phillips, Head of Marketing and Engagement, and Chelsea Pridmore, Teen Librarian. Both staff members manage social media and marketing to different age groups. Just in terms of funding, there is adequate funding in the conferences and workshop budget to fulfill this request based on the estimated costs. But Sissy is going to tell you more about why she's excited about this.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me tonight. I feel honored. So yes, I came about the Library Marketing Communications Conference. So actually, this is the 10th year it's being hosted. And Rochester Hills Public Library, when I was looking at some of the sessions that I was interested in going to, they're actually hosting one of the sessions, so one of the breakout sessions. So I reached out to Rochester Hills, and not only are they sending multiple staff as well, they've attended in the years past, and they said it's one of the best conferences that they've ever been to. Like Julie said, it's the only conference of its kind. So I, there, okay. No, but it's the only conference of its kind. I went to a different conference 2 years ago, and it was more so for community engagement outreach, but it didn't really hit on any of the marketing. And now that my role has switched a little bit more, and that I'm the head of marketing, and we've got this department, which I'm super excited about, I would love to keep growing my skill set. So we've got just an overview of, let's see. Perfect. So these are just some of the sessions, and these are just the titles, but I can explain some of them. And I think some of the titles are also super fun. But so there's navigating sensitive community topics with grace. So that would encompass like conversations that you have with the public, but also like in person and online. So there's online with social media and even just with like contact us forms and stuff like that. It's open for the public, so they're able to comment on any of our posts. We don't restrict that. So it's nice to have conversations about that to kind of see how we can navigate it best. And then there's talk about social media, and they are theming it Survivor, so Outwit, Outplay, Outlast. If you've seen the show, you get the reference. There's also talk about library outreach, which we have a library outreach committee here at the library, and I help head it. So I would be very interested in going to that and kind of hearing what other groups are doing for their outreach, something that we're trying to grow as well. One-person marketing team, it is me, so I would love to attend and represent. And then there's also a couple that are about research tools, so surveys, patron engagement with marketing for emails, brand experience, etc. Chelsea and I both run an e-newsletter, so that's what we use Constant Contact for. Chelsea just started a new one for the teens, and then I run the libraries one, and we both run social media as well. So she has an Instagram for the teens, and I run our Facebook and our Instagram as well. So it's definitely something that I want to grow. I've been talking with our graphic designer to come up with like our own template for Constant Contact rather than just using one of the ones they provide. I want it to be branded and kind of pop out and stand out, and rather than just having like a few programs here and there, it'd be nice to be sharing more about the library, who we are, what we do, and kind of have those testimonials in there as well. Oh, here we go. So yes, I already said I just thought you should see our faces. I'm the head of marketing engagement, and Chelsea is our teen librarian. She's the only teen librarian. She's on the she's on the youth and teen under it, but she is our only one that does all of the programming, and she's the one that does all of their social media. But having two people would be very beneficial for us to go, just because, like I said, when I was looking at all of the sessions, there's so many I want to go to, but they're all at the same time, so then I have to sacrifice which one I want to go to. So if I had Chelsea there with me, we'd be able to have multiple sessions and kind of have that time to go over what we both learned from each session and then share it with our respective teams, which would be nice. So this is also in front of you, but this is just a download of the travel and expenses. This is a new form that Julie proposed it to me. I filled it out. And they've already sold out of the conference. So we put our names on the list already. We didn't pay or anything because obviously we wanted to come and present. But we did get our name on the list just in case because it did sell out. So it's just one of those conferences. They said it sells out every year. But anyone have any questions?
I have a comment.
Yes.
I was very pleased with how you laid out. There's very little overlap between the sessions you plan on attending and the ones that Chelsea plans on attending, and I was really impressed by how well thought out that was.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Sissy? Very well thought out, thank you.
Yes, very well done.
Okay.
And
Thank you so much.
You'll be able to confer in the evenings and so forth, since you'll be right there together, so that'll be great.
Yeah.
See, I think if everybody votes for this, I think we'd love to hear a report of how it went.
Yes, I would love to come back, and I'll bring Chelsea as well.
Very good. All right, I'll accept a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent request for 2 people for out-of-state travel.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent request for the conference in St. Louis. And are there any questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. So we're looking forward to hearing the results.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, number 2, update regarding our strategic plan retreat.
All right. The library's been working on a strategic planning process with our consultant, Fast Forward Libraries. We've conducted an internal capacity survey, a community survey, and needs assessment focus groups and interviews. All of this input has been compiled into a learning report that will be available to the board in the next day or two. The library board will gather for a retreat to review the report on Wednesday, October 23rd from 5 to 8 p.m. The library staff will participate in one of 4 retreats on Thursday, October 24th. The agenda for the library board's retreat is included in the packet. Amanda Standerfer, our consultant, has asked that we review the learning report and retreat agenda and come prepared to discuss the questions highlighted in yellow. She would like us each to be prepared to share our top 3 areas of focus or strategic directions for the next 3 years based on the compiled feedback, including how these priorities will affect the library's mission and vision. And the library's mission is Clarkston Independence District Library, the community's cornerstone of lifelong learning through innovation, enrichment, and education, which our working day-to-day version is innovate, enrich, and educate. So I don't know if you have any questions. It is a whopping 77-page report. It does have a 5-page executive summary. She has asked that we at least read the executive report, but she's hoping that we'll dig in a little deeper than that as well if we can make time for that. And I anticipate we'll get that out to you probably, are we thinking maybe Wednesday?
Yes.
I think Wednesday.
Okay. We're looking forward to it.
Any questions about any of that?
No? So when it's available here, you'll let us know.
Yep, I will send it out via email, and then I will have printed copies in your mailbox, and I'll let you know to you can come and pick those up.
All right, number 3, update regarding minimum wage.
Okay, on October 1st, 2024, the state of Michigan released a summary of Michigan's minimum wage 2025 increase schedule. The minimum wage hourly rate will adjust as follows. So the current minimum wage is $10.33. On January 1st of 2025, it goes up to $10.56. And then on February 21st of 2025, it goes up to $12.48. I'm not sure why there's that little bunny hop in there, but I'm sure there's a good explanation. In February 21st of 2026, it will go to $13.29. In 2027, it will go to $14.16. And then in February 21st of 2028, it will go to $14.97. The Library Board Staffing Committee will work with the library director, myself, to incorporate these changes into the budget and adjust any other wages accordingly. But I just wanted to give you an update because the last time we spoke, they hadn't really given us what they thought the numbers were going to be beyond that $12.48 for 2025. So now we're seeing the rest of those numbers.
Okay.
Any questions?
How many employees do we have that could be affected by this?
Just a handful. Just a few. Yeah. Our pages, our shelvers.
Okay.
But when those bump up, then they bump up into some of the other, into some of those other roles, and so we'll have to do a little bit of adjusting to make sure everything stays appropriately spaced.
None of the part-time staff are at, right at minimum wage now, are they though?
We just have a couple of students. They wouldn't be at the current minimum wage. Ours is a little bit higher than that.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah. Questions?
Okay, thank you for the update. Number 4, approval of the updated leave of absence policy.
Okay. In March, the library board approved an updated employee policy handbook. It consolidated all of the employee policies, many of which were standalone policies. Because of the magnitude of the project, the board approved the handbook with the understanding that there would be 4 policies were still being revised. The holiday policy, check, we're done with that one. Child leave policy, that one we'll talk about tonight. References we just finished, and the dress code. Each of these policies has a committee assigned to continue to work on the update. The Child Leave Policy Committee has completed their work. The Library Board Staffing Committee has also reviewed this proposed policy. We looked at this on Friday. The updates to this policy are highlighted in yellow. Changes include the expansion of the policy to also cover the adoption or placement of a child for foster care. Either parent is included in this coverage, which provides 2 weeks of paid leave in addition to PTO they may have already earned based on the average number of hours worked weekly in the last year. The committee looked into the policies of a variety of southeastern Michigan libraries of different class sizes and were surprised to find that most only allowed for the PTO the employee had earned and short-term disability for mothers after childbirth. Because there was so little precedent to guide us, we decided to propose a modest starting point that would allow us to provide some benefit while we consider the possibility of potentially expanding the coverage in the future based on policies in other employment sectors or as the library profession opens this conversation further. The library's labor attorney, Mike Bloom, worked on this with the committee to create this policy and has approved this current version. Any questions?
Okay, any comments?
I think that's great. I think that's a great addition that is putting us in a competitive posture compared to the private sector, because with my private sector job, I only had a week of paternal leave, so kudos to that. I think that's great.
I like the addition of, first of all, fostering a child also, because that's, can be very disruptive to a family, and it would be nice to be able to take that time. And I definitely like the addition of, not just the disability, because that only applies to the one person that gave birth, and there's other people
Right.
involved in this process.
Or the one person.
I would suggest that this is, in my opinion, it's a good starting point. I'd love to see us review this more often than not, maybe annually or whatever, to see, because 2 weeks after having a baby, I suppose that, I know you've got your PTO on top of that, but I'd like to see what our practical experience is with that.
So in terms of childbirth, we do still offer disability. And so after childbirth, there is 6 weeks of disability for
I
the
see.
mother.
Okay.
But this goes
Paid?
beyond, paid.
Okay.
It pays,
Okay.
it pays 60%.
Okay.
70%, pays 70%, and then they may use their PTO to fulfill the other 30% if they would like to, so they can fill in using that PTO time. This would give them 2 additional weeks, and then they could choose, based on the way the policy is written, whether they do it right away or whether they come back after the 6 weeks and sort of hold those additional 2 weeks potentially a little later, like, for
I feel
example.
a lot better now that I'm paying attention to the details.
Well,
Okay,
that's
great.
okay, that's okay. The one problem with the disability is that does only cover our full-time employees.
Okay.
And that does only cover the mother who has birthed the child. It doesn't, so this, we're taking that sort of step into what can we offer that's in addition to that. We were really shocked, to be perfectly frank, that we were talking to even some of the larger libraries, and when we called them, they're like, oh yeah, they can take their PTO, and we've got disability. And we're like, okay, we assumed that the bigger libraries would have more and they would guide us. But they didn't really have anything either, so.
We'll guide them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good that we had the discussion
Yes.
and that the committee really looked at this in depth. And I think it's a good idea to review this periodically.
We would definitely like to consider potentially looking at some additional benefits going forward. And as I said, I think this is opening, the fact that we were asking the question, I think, has opened conversation to other libraries, and maybe we'll be the ones sort of instigating those conversations. And as libraries start to talk about it, we can all kind of get on the same page in terms of what we think is appropriate.
And the staffing committee had some of the same questions about, what would be the actual experience of
Yeah.
this, because we haven't had anything like this. So it's kind of hard to predict. That's quite likely that in some years there will be no usage of this at all.
Yeah.
And in other years you might have 2 or 3 people, or what, we don't have a huge staff. But I would be interested in seeing, how it plays out before we expand it much more. Eventually it would be nice if we could expand it somehow, but
Yeah, but it's actually
Let's see
much
what
more
happens.
credible than I realized when I was first listening.
Yes,
so
yeah, no,
thank
that's
you.
okay, that's okay. It is a little bit vague in the policy, because it's essentially referencing to another portion of the policy, and I didn't include that part of the policy. I just brought in the other part, so.
Thank you.
Okay. Are any other questions or comments? If not, I'll accept a motion.
I move that we approve the leave of absence policy as presented and included in the employee handbook as indicated.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the leave of absence policy as presented and included in the employee handbook as indicated. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is passed.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Number 5, approval of PT administrative assistant job descriptions.
All right. The library administrative team includes 2 part-time administrative assistants that focus on different tasks in order to provide appropriate segregation of financial tasks. In the past, we had 1 generic job description that covered both roles and then defined the segregation of tasks in a separate document. Going forward, we feel it makes more sense to have the 2 unique job descriptions better define the 2 separate roles. Administrative staff created draft documents, and the library board staffing committee reviewed the drafts. So you'll see the first one in your packet is the sort of generic, the first draft, or the first actual job description. And then the other two are how we broke it into two separate pieces. So the one will focus on accounts payable and receivable, and the other one will focus on HR, record keeping, inventory, payroll, that sort of thing. And then we do still have our segregation of tasks document, and we have a 4-person segregation of tasks. So we have our 2 administrative assistants, and then we have our contracted accountant, and then we have the library director. So we have these 4 different pieces. And each time we create a checklist of tasks that need to be done, we identify who's doing each of those tasks so that we are documenting who's doing what. And it's nice because if we have a situation where somebody is absent, if we have to hand that task to somebody, they know exactly what they need to do before they sign off. And we have a record of who did it in their absence. So for example, if Nicole is out sick and I need to ask maybe Bill to help me with something like that, and he signs off, and he knows exactly what he's supposed to do, and when he signs it, he knows what he's, what his responsibilities were and what he's signing off on. So we've got a nice workflow, but we wanted to make sure that the job descriptions now reflected that more fully. Any
Okay.
questions on that?
We're always tweaking.
Yep, my only,
Well, because the world is changing and you have to try to keep up with things. And
Yes.
the separation of, I feel quite strongly about the separation of duties because of how that plays into the audit and just the general financial security of the
Right.
library, so.
Right.
you know,
So it's-
I
that's
like how
important.
this is really spelled out.
Are you about to catch something I missed?
not that you missed.
Okay.
My question is, I know that you were very specific about what days what person works, and that's probably reflecting reality. But is it necessary to have it in the job description, or do you want to leave that more flexible so you don't have to come back to us to update it?
Well, in this case, we have it in that way because it's reflective of, for example, payroll has to be done Monday and it has to be done by Wednesday. It's a timing thing.
Okay. I just thought if you wanted the flexibility of not coming back to us.
I think, at any one time, there's probably only one administrative assistant position that we're looking for, so the other days would already become established. I mean, I guess you could change them at some point, but I think right now it's been like that for the last 4 years.
Well, I actually thought about this when I was writing this up, and I thought maybe I should just put, as the other one said, Monday, Wednesday, every other Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, every other Friday. But the reality is, the way we process payroll and the way we've laid it out works so smoothly. I think if we had switched it to Tuesday, Thursday, it would create issues with when things are due.
Yeah, because Wednesday's like the absolute last day you can process payroll. So if it doesn't get done by Monday, so if you're only a person who's helping with payroll only on Tuesday and you miss that window for whatever reason, then you'd be running.
And in reality, I know that there have been times when the scheduling became an issue and, you guys have traded
Yes.
days, when necessary, so.
Yeah, let me try Friday.
Right, I don't think that putting it in there precludes the ability to have a little bit of flexibility, as long as everybody agrees, and that's.
My
I
point
know-
was, I just didn't think it was necessary that it had,
Yeah.
it had to be in here at all.
From the board-
It
from
could
the
be
board
managed by the
standpoint.
library director
true.
without the board,
Yeah,
putting, they're signing off on the exact schedule. But I won't argue it.
Well, I
I will
suppose we
point
could.
it out and not argue about that.
Well, I did think of that. But the reality was I don't think that we'll end up changing it because it works so well in that role because of that timing. Yeah.
Well, and that also tells the person who is applying for the position
what the
which
days
days
will be.
would be
Yeah.
acceptable
And why?
and why.
So that they can't change later, they understand.
Yeah.
Very clear.
Okay, anybody notice any other questions?
No.
It's what we like for all of us. Work independently and part of a team. Are there any other comments? If not, I'll accept a motion.
I make a motion to approve the part-time administrative assistant accounts payable and receivable and the part-time administrative assistant HR and records job descriptions as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the part-time administrative assistant accounts payable and receivable and the part-time administrative assistant HR and records job descriptions as presented. Okay, any comments or questions? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is passed. And we thank you for your work on looking that over again. Okay, at this point, I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is this?
That's the thing I referred to in your, in my director's report about the training through the Library of Michigan.
Gotcha.
That's the
Okay.
link. Yep.
I couldn't connect it somewhere. Sorry. I didn't read the fine print, I guess.
No, that's okay. It's not something that I was distributing to the entire public because it's for you all but it's some nice online webinars that you can take if you are so interested. And I also put the staff one in there in case you're interested in seeing what wonderful services and resources the Library of Michigan offers to our staff. Free of charge that's covered. It's fascinating, this really long list. And if there's anything in there that you're interested, you're welcome to take any of those as well. There's some great stuff in there.
I've taken 2 or 3 of them. They're very good, and I've repeated them because after being here for a few years, I learned a lot more by repeating the same webinar.
Right, because you miss some points that are being made because you don't have anything.
I have anything to base
no
it on.
experience to connect it to.
Right,
yeah.
I didn't understand its relevance.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have homework if we would like to avail ourselves of it.
Or even if you just want to browse through, because like I said, the Library of Michigan provides those to our staff free of charge, and it's just great resource.
All right. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded that we adjourn this meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. We are adjourned at 7:10. Thank you.